know just what you're doing now. Rock the boat, rock the boat. Hey, work it in the middle, work the middle, work it. Change positions. Oh, now stroke it, baby, stroke it for me, stroke it for me.
What's up, friends? We're back. We're Black and Curious. I'm Kandron.
Hey now, it's your girl Dehjai. Welcome back.
Welcome back. So we are here to talk Insecure. So I know we started doing the reviews, but then one of our files got corrupted and we just never picked it back up. But
That is a cute story. Since we just left and never came back.
No, actually that's the truth. Because
No,
remember our file was messed up. Anyways, so we're back to talk the finale. Dehjai did not like it. I actually did. So
I think a lot of it too, like a lot of it for me was like it felt rushed all season.
Yes.
And then to get to this last episode and we rushing through this 40 minutes too, like we couldn't have just made this an hour so that you can get through the stories well.
Also, I feel like I feel like really we could have had 4 episodes of mess. And then we could have really moved this whole season through birthdays. I wish that they had done that. So then that would have lapsed the time, but then it would have also hit all of the high points. So I feel like they could have opened it up with like a couple of episodes to just catch us up with the characters and then do the birthdays, because it was like, that made a lot of sense. And I liked how they did that, but it was like, wow, this is like 3 years in
30
minutes. Like we saw that Molly's mom passed, but it's like we didn't pay her no deference. Like we was in the hospital with Mama Carter, and we didn't even get to go to the repast or nothing, you know?
That's so Black, to the repast. You know, when you ask your white friends if they have repasses, they don't know what that is.
Okay, well that's fine, but I'm saying we didn't get to go to the set. We didn't do no setting up. We didn't do nothing. It was terrible. Fell out at Tiffany's in Denver, and the next thing we know, we done moved on to the next birthday, and I just didn't feel satisfied by that. Now that I agree with you, the time was too rush.
Also, because like the main reason how I knew that it was 3 years is because Ja was like 3 or 4 breaking the birthday cake at the end.
Yes.
It wasn't clear till you got to that point, and then I was just kind of like, okay, so we're like, it just felt rushed. It just didn't give me enough.
I agree. And I felt like the rest of the season was slow. To me, it felt like they were slow. Like rest of the season was slow, and then we got to the episode and moved in warp speed at the end. But I was satisfied with how all the characters kind of left off. I was satisfied.
I mean, I'm grateful for them actually wrapping the show up, because as you know, if you're of a certain age, we never got that with Girlfriends. It just was gone. And left us all wanting more. Like we even thought that they might come with a movie, I think a year or 2 ago when they were sitting down with Charlemagne, but not heard anything about that. But then too, it could also be the pandemic, because that literally happened. That interview with the whole cast happened like right before the end of 2019.
Yeah.
So I just have so many issues, man. Like I think, but a lot of my issues stem from the fact that I wasn't ready to let the show go.
Okay.
Even though she had been saying like, it's over, it's a wrap. I think for me also, it's disappointment that Black shows only ever get 5 seasons. And you'll have other shows on for fucking decades. Because what other show do you know that had more than 5 seasons besides our parent shows? Here's
the thing, to me, and I, even from the beginning, when Issa was like, listen, y'all, this is not a forever thing. I respect that, because a lot of those shows, even when they get to a season 5, it's like, okay, this could have really ended 2 seasons ago. Or like the storyline is not fresh. It's not keeping my interest. It's just kind of stale, and it feels like they're trying too hard and they're interjecting random children, and you're like, well, where did this little child come from? And it's because they need some little comic relief of a kid, and it's just like, okay, y'all could have just done away with this last 2 seasons anyway. And I think that's what she was trying to avoid. And I appreciated that. Honestly, think that Insecure could have gone another 2 seasons without giving this, but
because it's like the progression of your 30s. Like that first episode was like they were what in their mid-20s, and then I think by the time we got to the end, they were in their 30s.
Yes. However, I will say this. This could be controversial or some sort of unpopular opinion, or maybe my life just ain't shit. But
It must make me choke.
I feel like they did what needed to be done. It's like, okay, I'm going to be careful here because I don't want to put nobody out, but like, or myself. I feel like where they left off is where life starts to get a little mundane, which is where I feel like I am right now and have been for a few years, where people, they start living their own lives, creating their own families, having their own thing. And you're not
20s.
Yeah, you're not calling with a story about a thing. You're not talking to your friends all the time. You're having these sort of evolving friendships that grow up too, and that are less engaged and less day to day and more high level. And I can say, even like seeing their friendships evolve, of like, we're not going out all the time and somebody's moved away, and like we're not doing the things that we used to do. We aren't having the chaos in our lives that we used to have, that we needed each other every single day for. And so I really, honestly, this last episode really spoke to me personally, because even with Issa and Molly, it's like, when your best friend gets married, it is a very different thing. And it evolves your friendship, and you have to be intentional. And when you keep seeing them missing each other in the phone calls, of like, Issa's constantly trying to get a hold of Molly. Obviously we know Molly's mom has also passed, but she's trying to get a hold of her. We see Molly's working all the time and trying to like get her career evolve, continue with her career, and like the demands of being a lawyer in big law, or a successful practice like that, means you're working all the time, and you maybe don't have time for those catch-ups like you used to. And that's a phase that I definitely have gone through in my own friendships. And it's I think it left off where it needed to leave off.
I'm not mad. I mean, I could see that point. I wasn't ready to let go. But so like the one episode or we posted maybe two reviews, the first one where I talked about how it broke my heart that Lawrence and Issa did not make it together, and then by the end of this season they make it together. That did make me feel like
yeah,
a little warm and fuzzy.
I agree. I felt very warm and fuzzy, but at the end I do wish they had left one of the characters single.
But the single one was always Kelly, so it's like,
I know, but and so that was my conflict. Like, as I was thinking through, I was like, well, who would I want to have been left single? And the answer is like, none of these girls. You know what I'm saying? But like, I did want to see somebody out there living their best life, traveling, whatever. It would have had to have been Issa, but I wanted her with Lawrence. So, and I wanted Kelly to, like, I just wanted them all to have.
I feel like Issa needed what you're talking about, like to travel the world and kind of see what she's interested in, and use those experiences to build on the block.
Yeah.
So to that degree, like, I totally get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I would like to have also seen the evolution of Lawrence and Condola, since I always call her Convalescence or something else.
I feel like there was a wink and a nod to it at the what was that, the going away party?
Yeah, that they came, but like a lot of people misunderstood like the podcast that we're talking about. A lot of them read that as the two of them having decided to be together and raise them.
No, I don't.
And I never thought that. I thought
didn't
that they
either.
just decided to work with each other to raise this child, like
Right.
not be in a committed relationship to one another. Like his parents
Right.
didn't have to be together for him to be a great kid.
Yeah, but by contrast to how they started with coming to that party and arguing at the party because he was giving the baby solids and she wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? So like by contrast from the beginning of the season to where we are, you know, to where we landed, I was like, okay, they're figuring it out and they're getting it together.
Yeah.
For the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did watch the Wind Down, which I thought was interesting. Did you watch it?
Of course I did. I was not ready for the show to be over, so I had to see more.
Where they were talking about how they had originally, how they had originally planned to leave the show in Morocco, or kind of like there was that thought that they would, you know, but they wanted to be true to LA. I wish there had been in the spirit of like,
trip.
Yeah, like in the spirit of like wishing somebody had ended up single. I wish that somebody had like branched out a little bit. We see Molly in Greece allegedly, but like we see her doing the, you know, the Greece trip, but that's her, like, it seems like her honeymoon or something.
Yeah, they were like,
so like
for months.
Right. So I would have liked to seen somebody go on a trip, like Issa go on a big trip and that's where I feel like the season kind of didn't do the characters justice, because while Issa wasn't with Lawrence and while she wasn't with Nathan Nansford,
that is so crazy that child's name was Nansford.
Well, it was Nathan, but
but allegedly his government is Nansford.
Oh, okay.
That's why she said
it. Oh no, his government is not. Is it? Maybe I don't know. Anyway,
he might sign all his documentation as Nathan, but I think it's Nansford, which is why he gave
No, it's because she couldn't remember his name. Remember, it was like when she first met him, she was like Nansford. And it was like, girl, what? That's not even a real name. What are you talking about?
This whole time, I literally thought that like his government, like on his birth certificate. Embarrassing.
No.
How many of y'all thought that though? Go ahead and don't be shamed. Get down there in the comments and let me know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, she couldn't remember his name. So, anyways, like in that period of time where she was, and I know she was like building a company, but I don't know. I guess I wish I'd seen her like branching out a little bit more.
Yeah.
In her downtime.
Yeah.
I did like seeing her date somebody other than Nathan and Lawrence. My God.
Child, he was giving Ethiopian like king.
Yeah. He was pretty yummy.
He was beautiful. He was just too petite for me, but he was beautiful, child.
It's good size for me. He's pretty yummy.
Don't you just love Kendra? I can't with you.
I'm petite. But yeah, so
you know what? I'm gonna just shut the fuck up. Carry on.
I'm petite. What else was there?
It wasn't much else. Let's talk about the breakdown though, and them telling the story as to how the reason why it didn't end in Morocco and it ended in LA. Basically they were saying that it was centered around Amali and Issa's relationship as friends, because that is the real love story.
Yeah, I think so.
And I was like, I never really thought about it like that in terms of watching the show this whole time, that the real story was about Issa and Molly.
I always thought this story was Issa and Molly. I just thought,
I felt like it was ensemble, but mainly Issa.
No, I don't know. Maybe it's because, yeah, I don't know. It felt very, maybe this is a personal sort of thing. Like you see whatever you want to see in the show. But yeah, like having a long-term friendship, and like my best friend and I have been friends since middle school, like seeing them evolve, it reminded me a lot of our friendship. And that is probably the most constant thing in my life, even though we're complete opposites. Like you would never think that we would be friends. But yeah, like it always felt like them. And even like the breakups, like they fell out and they've had to evolve and all of that stuff. Like it always really felt like Issa and Molly to me.
Yeah. I mean, I like having them talk about it. I realized that after the fact. But I also appreciated that they talked about costuming and they talked about the makeup design and like all the things that go on the backstage, so to speak, and how they created the characters and how the clothing and the hair choices created their existence, I guess, like tell their story without being so loud about it. Like those kind of things, full disclosure, like I miss being in the artistic world to do that kind of stuff and be around those kinds of artisans, basically. That's what I call them, because they do create so growing up I was a thespian. I think I talked about this on one of the videos. I did theater in high school as like my major or whatever. And one of the things that I enjoyed so thoroughly was all of the goings on in the background, because I was a part of that. Like costume design, set design, makeup. Like I was obviously the makeup girl because eventually. But those are the things that I thoroughly enjoyed because you got to tell a story for the character. And I recognize that like we never get to, in most productions, you never get to see the people that created these stories, but having the documentary series after the end of the show, that was great. It was something beneficial to me. So maybe one day, if I really am seeing fit to do this, like I could go back into doing beauty and like creation in that way. That was something that I wanted to do, but you get old, life changes, life comes at you fast.
It does. I just enjoyed how even in the wind down, I didn't watch the documentary yet, but I did watch the wind down, and they were talking about how Issa took a risk on a lot of people who we hadn't seen before or we didn't know well, like actresses and actors, and even with like the costuming and all of that stuff. Like I just think it's so cool that, you know, because of this universe, we have been introduced to so many interesting people. Like Insecure is very much like a universe, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate about Issa, as someone, obviously we don't know her, right? But I appreciate this idea that you work across as opposed to working up. And that in her doing that, she has launched so many people's careers in all the different arenas, like even stuff like back of house, you know, like the things that I'm interested in. And
even thinking about like Yvonne Orji, like we didn't really know her before Insecure.
Right, we didn't know Issa before Insecure. I mean, I watched
Issa from Awkward Black Girl, but we didn't know her.
But a lot of people didn't, you know.
Right, but at least she had something. She had something of a following. But I feel like I wasn't familiar with Yvonne Orji until Insecure.
Yeah,
it was very, and like look at where she is, you know, now. It's very much, I don't know, like it's, you know, the people owe a debt to Insecure. It was a moment, and I love that she ended it on her own terms when she was ready to move on, and that we got all of this background information, because that's another thing. It's like with the documentary and all of that stuff, like people aren't really doing that if the show has fallen off to a point where nobody cares. Like nobody's giving you another hour to do a documentary or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So it's like part of this is all the fact that she was just like, I'm not doing this forever. This is a moment and this is what's going to be. And also like, I like the fact that, and she mentioned this in the wind down of like, we didn't have to finish a show. We just like left the characters and you feel like they're living on. Right. And I loved that. So it's like, if she wants to reprise it in, you know, or some version of it, or make movies out of it, there is plenty of space. There's so much space.
I think that ending is a nod to Living Single, in a way that, like, I think the last episode of Living Single was the Christmas party, and Regine had already gone off to marry her rich husband. Max was pregnant with the huge what was that damn dog? Oh my God. Great Dane. Yeah, the huge Great Dane. And she was about to be, giving birth to Max's, or to Kyle's child. Scooter has sent plane tickets for Khadijah to come to like Paris or something like that. And then you had Obi and whatchamacallit. I think, were they expecting, or they moved out of the brownstone.
They moved, they moved to the basement.
But I think in that last episode, I thought they moved out of the brownstone altogether.
I think she had a job. Or maybe she had a job. I think she was going to move to California or something.
Okay, right. I know they were leaving. That's why I was like, yeah, they basically, it ended similarly to Insecure, where you saw these characters go off to live the lives that they had already started to create. So you knew about it, but you didn't get to know what the next chapter was like.
See, Living Single is my single favorite show of all times.
Hello, I will watch it over.
Hands down, I watch it every time I see it on TV. I have seen every single episode multiple times, but that is a show I feel went on too long.
They only had 5 episodes or 5 seasons.
I feel like it could have been 4.
Especially once the characters started leaving the show. Like that.
Yeah, like once the trip came in, I was like, what is this? Yeah. What is this? You know,
that's when it had started to fall apart. So they just went ahead and wrapped it.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and that was my thought with Insecure, was just like, I am glad that she is ending this before we have to start seeing trips. I don't want to see it in
Trip and Idalis.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to see, I just don't want to see it. So I love where they left off. And like I said, they have plenty of space.
Yeah. So that about wraps up this conversation, y'all. Let us know what you thought about Insecure. If you felt like it was not long enough, or you felt like me that it was rushed, or any other critiques you might have. And follow us on all the socials. And until next time,